All right, welcome back to another episode of
Get Stoked!
with your hosts Evan,
Ty,
Trenton,
and our special guest,
Deanna.
Woo! This week we are exploring the globe from east to west and seeing the best places that the internet has to offer. All right, so we're here with Deanna. Deanna, how do you know, me?
Well, we work together.
Yeah.
And we're in genetics together, so
Yeah.
that's nice.
So we struggle through it together.
How do you
A
feel
lot.
about Ty?
I love Ty. He is one of my
All right,
favorite
she's
people.
Tell me how you actually feel after.
Okay. No, he's great.
All right, so this week we're talking about travel. Something I have not done any of. So,
Oh,
I have not been out of the United States ever.
okay.
The farthest I've been is Florida.
How was
That's
Florida?
sad.
It was good. I was like 9 years old, so.
Oh, okay.
And we went to
Do you
Disneyland.
remember it?
Yeah, I do.
It's a
Like,
classic, like Disney.
I remember my little brother was like deathly afraid of Donald Duck. It was hilarious. He wouldn't get his picture taken with him. It was so funny. But yeah, that's about as far as I've gone. But so let's get started by talking about just our dream places to go. Where do you guys want to go the most?
Ooh, God, everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Sure,
literally
so
anywhere.
I've always found Asian places to be the best because, being from the West, we don't grow up with that type of culture. So anytime you go there, it's like massive, like almost an alien world, The architecture is completely different. The cultures are completely different. The languages are completely different. But as opposed, if you go to somewhere like Europe, like I know you and I have, I don't know about you.
Yeah, I have.
But it's almost like being in a slightly different United States, like the way
Yeah.
everyone acts and stuff like that. So I'd love to see like all the unique places outside of the Western culture.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be interesting to base off that to go to places like North Korea where it's like
Just
I know that's not like a dream vacation. I'm just saying just because the way they live is so under control that I just want to see it with my own eyes.
yeah, you want to see like the fake grocery store.
Yeah, all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff because it's just crazy. Yeah.
Honestly, the dangerous places are like where I want to go most.
Yeah.
Like the places that no one else goes is where I want to go.
Bombs are dropping here. Like, this is the
Like,
best
wow.
vacation.
I would never
Ever.
experience this in America, so
Yeah,
I wanted to come here.
I think my dream place is this little island called Tasmania. I believe it's called. I hope I'm not right.
The Tasmanian devil.
where the Tasmanian devils are.
Oh yeah.
Because for the longest time I wanted to work in zoology, and they have this like contagious tumor disease that's wiping them out, and I wanted to help them. They're the cutest little things in the world.
How would you help them?
I wanted
That's
to
so sweet.
study like zoology and I don't know, help. I don't know.
He just knew he wanted to help, so now he's gonna
Clearly
get there.
that's not the plan anymore.
Zoology, tumors. I mean, the two really don't mix. Do
Like
they?
a mixture of oncology, I guess. I don't know. But yeah.
I think some of the most interesting places are like the places that we can't go. Like I
Yeah.
know there's like this one little like village or whatever in I think it's Africa where there's like a colony living there, and if like you try to go there, they will kill you. Like I remember seeing.
Oh,
You know what I'm talking about?
that's an
you know
island.
about
It's an
that?
island.
No, but that just makes me
Oh.
excited.
Off India, but yeah, if you try to fly in there, they will shoot you down.
Yeah, like they throw.
Nobody's ever been there.
I think I've seen pictures of it, of like literally like from a helicopter view,
Yeah.
and they have like arrows pointed
Yeah.
at the helicopter.
They will kill you. Or like places like Chernobyl, or like there's like an island where like only like cats live. I think it's like, or something like that. There's like an island specifically.
There's an island of dogs.
Yeah. The what's it called in Japan? There's a whole island that's built like as a colony. So there's literally no wilderness at all. It's all just like buildings
Yeah.
rising up, and it was completely abandoned. So it's like this literal abandoned city.
That's scary as shit.
This whole
Just
building.
footsteps
But
walking by.
I feel like that'd be such a cool place to
Oh,
go.
yeah.
Yeah, that's why people want to go to see Chernobyl and stuff
Yeah.
like that, to see the abandoned, like, emptiness of it. But Chernobyl would be underwhelming for me because I know I wouldn't see any mutants. Even though I'd want to.
This isn't like Fallout.
So, okay, another reason I wanted to do travel is because it's kind of like that holiday season now, and people are traveling to go with family and stuff. So on a global scale travel, but also like I know there's that like local travel. Are you guys going places, doing things for the holidays that are like crazy and fun?
Well, I think I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. Yeah, I was gonna cry too.
Oh,
But-
yeah.
but-
Every day.
Yeah. Besides that, I mean, it's even better on the holidays.
No, today actually, like an hour ago in class, I was daydreaming because I don't pay attention. And I was like, I need to do something. Like, I haven't been abroad in like 3 months. Like, I need to go again. So I think over winter break, I'm going somewhere. I'm going to decide that after this.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Where are you thinking?
Why don't we decide
Anywhere.
that on this?
Oh, see, my like top place to go right now is Thailand. I
Thailand?
really want to go to Thailand, yeah, just to see how they live. Also, I really have been into the cheaper places because I'm broke.
Yeah.
So I really like being able to go places,
Yeah.
see a lot of things, not spending a lot of money. So I feel like Thailand, I've heard amazing things. So like, why
I
not?
think that was on the list that I was looking at. I was looking at cheap places to go, and it was like one of the cheap. It was like,
Why is
you
it
get
so
the most for
cheap?
your.
Oh yeah.
I don't. Do you know why it's so cheap?
Probably because I would assume it's because it's like still a developing
Yeah.
country in a lot of ways. So it's like, because if you go to some places like in Europe, particularly places like Switzerland, it is super expensive just to buy
Yeah.
food.
Norway
It's
is insanely expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like to get a plate of raw meat and cheese, it's like $30 in some places. I'm like, wow, okay, I don't know about living here, Chief. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, when I was in Africa, I would used to get like a full dinner and drinks, like probably like 3 drinks and my full meal for like $7.
That's
Wow,
amazing.
That
Yeah.
is really cool.
So nice.
I think it was like that in Costa Rica. Now that I think about it, but
I forgot you went to Costa Rica
I
over the
did.
summer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
How's that?
it's amazing.
Getting attacked by bugs in the forest.
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh,
It was
fun.
it was pretty cool. I'll tell more stories later, but we got to stay in the rainforest for a week, and that was like life changing. So
Oh my
I'd love to stay in the rainforest. Like one of my top places to go has always been like to see the Aztec or the Mayan
Oh,
ruins,
that'd be
you
dope.
know, and just see what their architecture and kind of their way of life was. Like if you could stay around there too.
I would always get worried about the tourist parts of that now, because now I feel
Yeah.
like you don't get that authentic experience in the same way of like in the region that we are, there are tourist locations that are very historical and like on their own they're very cool, but then you get there and there's like people dressed up in colonial garb and it's like, all right, like,
Now, do you think like the tourism aspect of like a lot of these places has like a negative impact on like how the culture is? Because like I feel like a lot of the time like these places have to like kind of adapt a little bit to fit like the tourist vibe that they receive. Like, you know,
I will say it definitely ruins it if you're from there.
Yeah.
Because it pisses me off just being from around here in middle of nowhere, where you drive down and
people
Lancaster and
come
you
to see the Amish.
Yeah, and there's people literally like pulled over on the side of the road with DSLRs out, as if like gawking at Amish people, and
Yeah,
it's
like
like
they're
just,
not that interesting.
Yeah, just leave them
Well,
alone. They're
'cause
just
see,
living their life.
I'm from New Jersey. I've
you?
never seen an Amish person before I moved up here. And so
Were
I
you, like,
remember, well, I
coffee picks?
distinctly
You're one of those
remember
people.
seeing a horse and buggy, and my mom and I were like, what the heck is that? Like, we were freaking out. But, like, I'm not from around here. I've never seen that in my life. I honestly, maybe I'm just uncultured, which is funny, but I honestly was like, oh, they probably just, like, don't exist, or, like, are in, like, some other foreign country, but, like,
you're like, do we just go back in time?
You'll get to a point where you just start to despise them because you'll get stuck behind them all the time, and it's
and
like, okay.
and they destroy the roads with their horse and buggies. It like carves.
And they don't pick up their crap, so like
But you're right about that. Like I have a family that I stayed with in Canada, and they came down to visit one time. The only thing that they wanted to see at all was the Amish.
I don't get that. I don't get that. It's like they just don't use technology.
Granted,
What is so interesting about that?
Granted, there's nothing else to do.
That's true.
Yeah.
Where we're from,
Yeah,
like they're Hershey,
yeah,
Yeah,
Philly,
that's right.
and
maybe.
that's like
Hershey, Philly.
a local thing.
Yeah,
And Philly is practically not in the state, so
yeah. We literally
Pittsburgh's
went on a
pretty
bus
cool, though.
tour.
Aren't there some Amish like out in California too? I think I've heard about, like, they're not just select to Pennsylvania. Like there's also some in California. I think I remember hearing about that.
no,
Not in like fucking God, what's that place that all the YouTubers live? It's totally slipping my mind. LA, yeah.
all the
Like,
YouTubers.
I mean, that's like literally that's all it is
Whoa,
anymore.
No freaking way.
There aren't there?
Explain how this happens though, because like the Pennsylvania Dutch,
Migration.
they just like came over and they stopped. They were like, "We're here, done."
Well, see, what if they went the other way and
Who?
they came up the
Who of,
west coast?
who of like the original
China.
10 families? Like,
the one that everyone started hating.
yeah, they were like, "Get out of here, go to California."
Yeah, and they're like,
Yeah,
okay,
it's-
fine.
The Amish are crazy too. Like they'll like if you like
It's
don't
not
want to
there
be
anymore.
Amish anymore, like your family's just like, yeah, fuck you. We're not gonna recognize you as our child anymore.
Oh, they're from Oregon, and they migrated down.
down.
Yeah, I don't like the Amish.
I don't really think. I think they're all right.
I've met some decent
just stay off the
people,
roads.
and they're pretty nice sometimes. But like, just I don't know.
My girlfriend's dad actually wants to come to speak to the Amish because I don't know if you know this, but they speak a very old dialect of Swiss German,
Oh really?
Huh.
particularly around here. So he thinks that it might be difficult, they would still be able to communicate.
Yeah.
Because Swiss German's, well, I mean, if you even spoke German, you could still speak
Yeah.
Swiss German because it's only minor differences.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But he wants to experience that just to be able to talk to them in like native tongue,
Yeah.
Huh.
Speaking of dialects, how we've traveled a lot. How did you guys? Did you know the language where you were, or was it just an adaptation?
No, I had no idea.
Uh-uh.
Like I know how to say sehr gut, and that was it.
What does that mean?
Very good.
Very good.
Yeah.
I think you gotta like a lot. I feel like a lot of like these countries.
And please
too,
and thank you.
a lot of these countries too are like accepting like English as
Mhm.
like the main, like
Mhm.
especially like popular tourist sites. So like
Yeah.
it's becoming less of an issue to travel now because like English is slowly dominating the language field.
Plus, knowing people who are non-native English speakers, they say they like speaking it more and that it's easier to learn. Because phonetically, it's not very easy because there are a lot of like, hey, it changes based on the context and stuff like that. But particularly with something like German, where you can have the verb is always in the second place, but other than that, it doesn't matter. Like you can have one half of the sentence be in the front or in the back.
German's difficult.
You can switch it
Mhm.
around, stuff like that. Whereas English, there's only one way to do it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
as soon as you do it, you can't do it any way
Yeah.
else.
But I've also heard people say that like English is an extremely difficult language to learn.
Probably I would imagine if you're from like an Asian
Yeah.
country, but that's just because of the
It's hard
It's,
for me too, though, man.
yeah.
Like
English. Yeah.
Yeah.
So know which there is there.
True. Well, when I was in Africa, I did not know any of the languages coming in, and in South Africa, there's like multiple different national languages. Everyone speaks something a little bit different. Everyone's like accent is a little bit different too. So sometimes I'm like, I don't even know which one you're speaking, and they click a lot too. A lot of them, and so like it's a lot of like, and like I don't know what the heck that
Yeah, that
means, and
doesn't
so
happen in English.
yeah, even like leaving the country, I know maybe like 3-4 phrases, words, and that's it. Because it's so hard for like my mouth to move that way so quickly.
Right. And it's also fascinating with African languages in general because, everyone originated in Africa. So a lot of those languages are still like the original language. So they're very rudimentary, like particularly the clicky ones. It's like, it's not like there's something in the tree up there. It's like tree up there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's something very basic.
Mhm.
And it's so interesting just to see that in like modern society,
It
where
is.
I guess it's solely because they didn't move around a lot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I love that. My German teacher in high school, she spoke English like fluently, but she had a daughter, and her daughter spoke like complete German. It's just like she'd walk in there and like half of us sit in the class like, wow, this girl speaks better German than all of us. So I think that's awesome. Like when they
Just
pass
make
the
fun of
language
you.
down like that.
That's awesome. Yeah. I wish I started at an earlier age,
Yeah.
and I wish I didn't take Latin.
Hey, I've taken
in high
five.
school.
I've taken 5
Such
years
a
of
waste
German.
of time. I was
I
like,
still don't know
science.
anything.
Oh, well, obviously.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be in science, you have to
I was
know
like,
Latin.
science. I'll know Latin. The most I can do now is like guess possibly the function of something that we're learning about like 2 seconds before they tell you what it is.
You can summon demons
You
too.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they'll be like,
True.
this is the
The important
hydro,
stuff.
blah, blah, blah. And like everybody knows what hydro means, but I'm like, Latin. Like, shut up. Hydro isn't even Latin. I think it's Greek.
It's okay. I took Spanish for 7 years, and I cannot say anything in Spanish. I can say the very basics that everybody knows, that even people who haven't taken Spanish, but I cannot tell you anything more than that.
It's hard.
I was supposed to learn French because my great grandmother is directly from France. And she was like, I want to teach all the kids how to speak French. And my grandpa goes, no, my great grandpa, he was a classic type. Like he's fought in many wars,
Yeah.
Classic American, like do it yourself kind of guy. And he's like, they're American. They only need English. And looking back on it, I'm like,
Boomer.
okay, grandpa, thanks.
Thanks,
Like,
boomer.
I would know a couple languages,
Yeah.
at least 2 by now.
Yeah. My uncle's my uncle's mom was a Holocaust survivor from Germany, so she speaks like fluent German and stuff, and it's super interesting like listening to her like have a conversation too, like because I remember the one time she was over, she was like intoxicated a little bit, and she kept flipping between German and English, and it was really funny.
They do that all the time.
Yeah,
like go in between, even if they know you can't speak one language. It's just most people just can't differentiate, because I guess as soon as you learn it, all becomes almost the same thing, right? Where it's like, I'm going to say it this way and I would say it this way. So it just becomes interchangeable.
I think it's interesting too when they can keep their accents, like especially after living here for so long. Like she still had a pretty heavy accent, but like,
It's if you're old.
yeah.
Well, and I bet you too, we would have what they would call like an American accent in whatever dialect we learn, like
general.
And we probably couldn't get rid of that. Like especially like our R's are very weird in comparison to a lot of other R sounds around the world. Like we're very, the only thing I can say is American. Like it's just like like it's hard.
Yeah. You know what else is cool is when you like learn another language so well that you're so fluent in it that you actually dream in the new language that you learn.
That's insane.
Has that happened to you?
No, I don't know anything.
No,
about
she's not fluent.
No, but I there was an exchange student in high school, and I remember my teacher talking to her, and she was like, "Oh, can you like dream in English?" Yeah, because I heard that's like when you really know that you really know this language. And she was like, "Yeah, actually, last night I had a dream, and it was in English, and it was so cool."
That's really
crazy.
Yeah.
And I wonder like if your thought processes kind of split too. Like sometimes you're thinking in English when you're speaking. Okay, this is slightly unrelated, but I actually grew up with playing hockey with two siblings, brothers whose parents are first generation British immigrants.
That's cool.
And so it's not a difference in language, but a difference in accent. And it's something that they cannot control. But when they are talking to or about their parents, they speak in an English accent.
Really? Yeah.
Anyone else, they speak in an American accent. And if you ask them to do a British accent, it's the worst fake sounding Cockney accent ever. They cannot actually like emulate it.
Right. I had a friend like that too.
I know, right?
First generation from the UK, and he was the exact same way. It's even if like he heard someone with a British accent on TV, he would automatically switch to a British accent. Or I think he could control it, because anytime he tried to pick up girls, he would switch to a British accent. But it never worked.
He's like, yeah. Oh, hello.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, dude, you're just talking to me.
It's like, come on.
What's interesting too, like a lot of like what you said about like switching back and forth. I think a lot of that's to do with like there's some words in English that like, or like in other languages that like we can't like translate to.
Yeah.
Like I forget. Like I remember there was an example in German, but I can't remember what it was.
There's a lot of them in German. Right?
Yeah. But German's kind of funny because a lot of it boils down to very literal. Like Brötchen is a roll. It literally just means small bread.
Yeah.
So a lot of them are like, turtle is shield toad. So it's just very basic words meshed together. That's why some of them are so long.
It's pretty close to English too. Like a lot of their words are like schlafen is sleep. Like
Wasser.
Yeah. It's pretty close. Like it's almost like lazily close. But then there's some like crazy ones, like an ambulance is a Krankenwagen.
Yeah. It's amazing too, especially Europe in general, because travel there is so fluid and you can just move around. They are very open to English speakers. Yeah. And like you can get, if you just know like choose, I'm trying to think of any other, like literally I just said choose, which is bye.
Yeah.
So you would have a whole conversation in English. Then if you just said goodbye in German, they would be perfectly happy with that.
You don't do that in Switzerland though.
No.
You say ciao, which is Italian for bye.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm here showing my geographical lack of knowledge. Are they kind of the?
They're right by Switzerland. Switzerland's right by Germany, Italy, and France.
Hence all
combination
of those.
It's literally those three languages that are the most common in Switzerland.
That's cool.
Like we went 2 hours into Germany whenever I was there, and we met a friend. We went to Europa Park, which is like a big theme park all based around different European countries, which I thought was kind of weird because it's like you're kind of stroking your own dick there whenever you make a theme park about every country and the place that it is. Like, ooh, now I can go to the Germany section. It's like I'm already in Germany. I don't need to experience this. But we went to a place in the town where another exchange friend lived. and you could like go up to a watchtower and see the border to France, like where the Maginot Line would have been.
It must be really nice to live in a place where you can just like drive and experience a completely different culture. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess you can kind of do that here, but it's like not as extreme. It's like, oh, you want to drive south, and you
It's
can
more
experience you can
landscapes.
experience the rednecks, or like
There
go
are
west and experience the
microcultures.
douchebags. But it's not like, oh, these people have a totally different lifestyle and like totally different language. It's like
Yeah.
that's not here.
I think it's also funny. Americans love to generalize about other Americans in the way of like oh, the rednecks in the South, or like the Northeasterners like us. We have a reputation for being assholes.
Yeah.
And our friend Emma, who I hope one day will come on this, but she is in Mississippi right now, and people are like, "Look, you're really nice, but like sometimes you're just a huge asshole." And like she can't control it though, because part of it is just like people are passive aggressive. We're short. We're to the point. We talk at the speed of light here.
Yeah.
And that's just how we are.
Like someone gets in your way for a couple seconds and you're yelling at them.
You're like, fuck you. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
Do not get in my way when I'm driving.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
It's ridiculous.
We're
I
very
hate
aggressive.
going through Harrisburg because I'm always just flipping people off left and right. If I could send them Xbox Live messages, I would.
Oh, God.
Yeah. The smallest thing can set me off now.
Yeah,
And I think
I know.
that has to do with living here.
Especially on the
I
road.
think you're just blaming the environment for you being an asshole.
I
Yeah,
think so,
that's
too.
fair.
Well, in South Africa, everyone goes so slow. Everyone's late to everything. And I am always early to everything because that's who I am. And I rush to get there, early, and that's it. And there have been so many times where I'd meet up with like friends who like grew up in Africa. We would go and meet and be like, okay, we'll get there at like 8:00. My friends would show up at like 8:25, 8:30, and I'm like, where the heck were you? And she's like,
God.
oh yeah, we were just driving around, just got here now. Like I
That's
just
so
don't
That's
get
like
frustrating.
it.
that's like here, like being on time is late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm always everywhere early because like I'm just afraid of being late.
Mhm.
That's good. For particularly us three. You can chime in too, Evan, but is there anything that different cultures did that you just, it wasn't like anything major, it wasn't a deal breaker, but it was just like little pet
It bothered
peeves?
you?
Yeah.
Costa Rica, just due to the ground and how it is, they can't have really thick piping, and as a result, you cannot flush toilet paper.
Ew.
So there's a trash can in every
Do
bathroom.
they have a bidet?
No.
You don't get your asshole
So
squirted?
in every bathroom there's a trash can, and that's where you
Ew.
throw the toilet paper.
That's disgusting.
We should get them bidets.
And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
nothing bad, and you get used to it really quickly, and it's fine. But like for the first few days, it just feels gross.
Mhm.
That's nasty. That would not work here, especially in like my bathroom. Like,
Yeah.
I could show you a picture of the trash can, and it's the grossest
Well,
thing ever.
okay, but then also I think a lot of it has to do with the food, which we should talk about a lot more because that's one of the craziest parts of traveling. But like there, it's a lot of starchy grains and like fibrous vegetables, and so your bowel movements are solid. But like in America, it's like sugar and shit. So like you could not feasibly have an American bathroom where a trash can is where the toilet paper goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People would be puking. But there, it's like fine.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, mine is definitely not like that. Well, like in Africa, they like, unless you have a lot of money, you don't have heat. And so I was there, like it was our summer in America, but there it was winter. And I'm like an idiot. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I love being cold, so this is going to be fine. I don't even need to bring a lot of heavy clothes. I'm freaking wrong. So we get there, and I realize that my bathroom is literally outside. Like to get to my
Hell yeah.
bathroom.
Oh no.
Yeah, so my room, okay, I'm going to lay out the whole house for you. You walk through the front door, you see the kitchen and some rooms, and then you have to walk through the kitchen and the living room to then go outside to like the side door, and then you see 3 more rooms. And my room is just a little cubby of a room, and you have to walk back outside to then get to the bathroom, which is another cubby of a room. And so there's no heat, so in the bathroom you're freezing, and I shower in the morning, so I'd wake up at like 6, shower, freezing. It's like 50 degrees outside, and I can't even like step on my floor because the floor is freaking cold too. And it's just,
That's the worst feeling.
it's awful. And then I would go to work and I'd be sitting there shivering because it's also where I worked is kind of like half outside, half inside. There weren't a lot of like
Okay.
doors. And so like however it was outside is however it's going to be inside, and that's it.
Mm.
So everything was just cold all the time. But I mean, it could be worse. I could just bring more clothes and not be stupid.
Mine is the exact opposite.
Really?
Whenever you go, particularly in the summer, to any European place, they don't have air conditioning or
that's
fans.
right.
They're masochists. They don't
I
believe
forgot
in
about
fans.
that.
They don't even believe in ice.
I know, it's ridiculous. Like, you go into a room and you're like, man, I can't wait to snuggle up under my big comforter. Oh wait, I'm sweating to death now because these fuckers don't even believe in
completely
fans.
forgot about that.
Like, whenever we went to my one friend's house, he had one fan. The guy in Germany, he had one fan, and that's because his American girlfriend bought it for him whenever she stayed over.
Yeah.
You can't do this.
Yeah, it's every time. It's the worst too, because they always go, "Well, our buildings are made of stone." I'm like, yeah, it's still hot as shit in here.
I guess Europeans just don't sweat.
Yeah, no, they're just.
Well, whenever like 80% of the year is just cold and
Yeah.
death outside, maybe the 20% where it's nice and hot.
I
Is
mean, it can
nice.
be cold
Yeah.
as shit in my room, and I'll still have a fan on just cause. Like
Yeah, it's nice.
All right, Evan, what is one thing that pisses you off here?
here,
Yes.
I have a whole list of shit that pisses me off.
One
here.
thing.
Crap. I'd say like we do not know how to drive like at all. Like,
That's true.
we suck at driving, and it is the worst thing ever. Like, I hate it. Like, I hate the amount of idiots I get behind, like all the time because they're too dumb or not paying attention. It's like, all right, this is just annoying.
It sucks for me.
And our roads are terrible. Pennsylvania
That's it,
roads are
yeah.
god awful.
Yeah,
But-
they are.
Here's always my but when I say the Europeans, whenever they bring that up. There's way too many people here,
Yeah.
and there's not public transport like they
Nope.
have it.
Yeah.
So like, man, everything sucks. I'm like, yeah, I think it's because America's just so big
Mhm.
to like set up public transport would not only be a ton of time, but a ton of money, and still people wouldn't use it because we already have all our own cars. So whenever they're like, it sucks traveling, it's awesome traveling in Europe because it's like, oh, $20, so ride a train to,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Germany for a little bit.
Well,
But here it's like $20 and I got to drive up by myself and go through like 5 turnpikes.
I mean,
Yeah.
To
with
get
Uber,
anywhere.
it's kind of nice, especially in the city and stuff. But like here, it's like obsolete. Like,
Yeah, it's not
if you want
worth it.
Uber, it's like really expensive. But like
Mhm.
my uncles live in DC and they Uber all the time, and it's like they only have one car and they rarely use it because they both work for the government, so they don't have to go that far.
That's nice.
But
Yeah.
it's nice. But like yeah, you're right. We don't have that kind of public transport except for like
Yeah.
our big cities.
Plus, it's
And even
typically trash.
And even then, yeah, it's garbage. Like
Yeah.
our subways in New York are just
Mhm.
disgusting.
I will say though, I think sometimes
nice.
Is it?
I know.
You just get on that train. It takes you literally
Oh
everywhere in
my
that
God.
goddamn
Really?
city.
Amsterdam
Yeah, it's
is
like a
just
straight
beautiful
line.
anyway,
That's
though.
so
cool.
It really is one of my favorite places in Europe.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it was great. Plus, there's legal weed.
Hell
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, there is. Bad decision made on my part. It's fine.
So do you guys want to take a quick break?
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Okay, welcome back.
Woo, what a break. What a wonderful long
Yep. Oh
long
yeah,
break.
of course.
So I think we were talking about trains in Amsterdam.
What
before we
about
took a break.
trains in London?
Oh,
my
London.
gosh.
Okay, well, I don't know if this is how it is everywhere or just where I was in London, but I also am slightly stupid. So, London. Okay, so I was there for 3.5 months, right? And
That's a lot.
Jeez.
it's a lot of time, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I studied abroad, so
Oh yeah.
it's kind of just how it worked out.
Yeah.
But there was like a week-long time where we got off classes and everyone usually travels. So my friend and I were like, okay, where are we going? Because we have to go somewhere. So we first go to Scotland, have this awesome time, and then we had like another 2 days left of break. So we're like, okay, you know what? There's a really cheap flight to Norway. We're just gonna go. And so we go to Norway, spend a day and a half in Oslo, and then leave. And we don't think anything of it because we're like, oh yeah, fine, public transportation. It's gonna be fine and reliable. Obviously, what could go wrong? And so
Not in
we
Germany.
we fly back into London, and we fly back into one of the airports that's like farthest away from where our accommodation was. And this is at like 11 at night, I want to say. It was getting really late. And we didn't realize that the train stopped running and the underground stops running at
Oof.
night. And so
The
we're
whole underground.
I'm not sure. I know where I needed to go was not going. So And this is a few years ago, so I'm not super sure on all the details. But I do remember we were sitting there. We're like, okay, so then we're going to get off at this stop and then take the train back to where we need to go. And then this guy overhears us talking, and he was like, you can't do that. And we're like, why not? And he was like, oh, well, this is the last one, and that's it. And so we were like, oh, okay, perfect. So we get off at the last stop because we thought it was going to take us the whole way there, and it was not. So we get off at the last stop that we can, and he's like, okay, we got to get you guys to your train because there's still a few more trains running until that shuts off. So he's like, we need to get you guys to your train. And then somehow these other two people also get involved, and now it's 5 of us just trying to get my friend and I to where we need to be. And so us being stupid girls in Europe decide we're going to trust this man that we've never met and get in an
that's a
Uber
good
with
idea.
him and 2 other people too. And so they're like, okay, we need to go to this train station. So the Uber is like running around town trying to get us to the train station so that we don't have to take like a really expensive Uber all the way home. And so everything ends up being fine. We get to the train, and then we literally were running to where we needed to be. We get on as soon as the doors close right after, then we go home, and everything was fine. But I was an idiot because at midnight on some random day in Europe, I decided it'd be a good idea to get into an Uber with a stranger. And my mom does not
I mean,
know.
technically, you
Don't
always
do
get
that.
an Uber with a stranger.
Well,
if you
whenever
think
she
about it.
listens to this,
Technically.
Mom, if you're listening.
Sorry. Yeah, that was
Wow, especially in
Quite a
Europe
time.
because there's some
Yeah.
horror
There's a lot of
stories.
trafficking.
And yeah.
exactly.
yeah.
And that's not even the only time I've ever run to catch a train. That was like the last one either. Like I just have no time management skills, I guess, in Europe.
And at Switzerland, it's bad because they never wait in Switzerland. So it's
Mm.
always like, even if you just hang out for a little bit, you're like, oh, fuck, it's 1 minute past when the train's supposed to show up. I probably missed it already.
Wow.
But in Germany, it's always late, like getting canceled
Mhm.
30 minutes and stuff like that.
Yeah, we waited an hour at a train station in Germany
Yeah,
one
I know.
time.
That's how like flights are too, constantly getting canceled.
Yeah.
Are you guys like afraid of airplanes at all?
Oh.
I am boarding, but then as soon as I get on, I'm like,
Yeah.
this is my coffin,
That's
baby.
true. That's true because it's like once
Just
you're in the
accept
air,
your
it's
death.
it's gonna hit the ground and it's either gonna be fast or it's gonna be slow. But,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like one or the other, like one way or another. You're not gonna keep going up. You're gonna come down.
Yeah.
I guess so.
It takes
And
so
that's
long.
fine.
And
too,
you're
like,
either gonna
the
be
processing.
fine or you're gonna
Yeah.
be dead. So like,
Fun. No,
It's
I
actually
always-
not as bad as people say, though,
Yeah.
getting on an airplane.
Well, I've heard things like
Have
about
you-
the TSA being useless.
have
like
you flown
Yeah.
once
to Florida?
to Florida when I was
Okay.
9.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really good experience.
Planes are expensive.
They are.
Yeah.
I'd like to fly more, but yeah, it's not gonna happen.
The
anytime
best
soon.
is like going to Europe or anywhere
Mhm.
cross ocean because you're like, man, if I go down, there's no fucking way. I'm
Yep, you're dead.
surviving
Yep.
this. Yeah.
Uh-uh.
So you
Well-
just accept it.
yeah.
When I was younger, I always, for whatever reason, was like, I always want to fly over the ocean because then they can just land it on the water and I'm going to be fine. That's
Except
how I
things
always
sink.
thought it was going to be. That's not the
Yeah.
reality, but I was
The-
never scared of flying growing up.
I'm gonna say that's like the same thing
Wow.
with cruise ships too. It's like you're out in the middle of the ocean, like
It
goes down, you're dead.
It looks pretty, but
Yeah.
the 8-hour flight that I had to take to Switzerland was awful because it was an overnight flight. It always is.
Mm.
So you leave the States at like 6 o'clock
Mhm.
and then you land at 8 a.m. in
Yes.
Switzerland. And
Jet lag,
whenever the 40-year-old dude behind you is a little baby and can't stop kicking your seat so you can't fall asleep, you're like, I'm fucked. Like the first day I spent in Switzerland, I was by a toilet, like ready to throw up
Oh.
because the jet lag, the fatigue just hit me all at once.
See, I don't deal with people like that. I would turn around and scream at that 4-year-old. I'd be like, "You better fucking
He's
stop."
40-year-old.
40-year-old.
Then I definitely scream and like, "Shut the fuck! Stop fucking doing that, or I'll cut your legs off."
Cut your legs off.
Oh my God.
You get thrown
We're
off
going
the plane
extreme.
for a terrorist threat.
Speaking of jet lag, how do you guys like? What's your? I'm guessing you have a style now to it.
Oh, yeah. Well, for me, I get to the country I'm going to. It's always for me easier whenever I'm going out of America.
Mm-hmm.
So I get there and it's usually like the morning. Like in London, it was like 6 a.m. In Africa, it was like, I want to say like around lunchtime, like noon. And then you just got to stay up all day.
Yeah.
And then you pass out at like 8. You get to sleep for like 12, 14 hours. And you wake up in the morning, you're fine. But then coming home, I lose my mind
Mhm.
coming home because I get home and then I can't sleep. and then I'm still on the time that I was up before. So then I wake up at 3 a.m, and then I'm just sitting there twiddling my thumbs until everybody gets up, and then I'm exhausted in the middle of the day, and then I'm grumpy. But I can't stay up because then I've been up since 3 a.m. and it's just like I don't know why, but coming home is always so much worse for me.
I don't know. For me, it wasn't. For me, I actually enjoy coming home because I tend to be an anxious person, and anxious people have like safe spaces, right? And that's my room. Like coming home, I'm like, I know everything's gonna be okay in my room, and so like even though I felt like death coming home, even just laying down in my own bed and just watching TV, it was like, oh man, this is perfect. This is heaven on earth right now.
That's nice.
Going there was a nightmare because I was like, I hadn't met her parents yet, so I was like, their first introduction to me was me saying, "Hey, sorry, would love to talk, but I really need to go lay down."
Oh no.
Hard. So I slept for a couple hours. I woke up. That's when I was super nauseous and felt like I was gonna vomit, and I sat on the bathroom floor
Hell yeah.
for the rest of the night.
Aw.
They have a bidet in that toilet?
No, they
Damn it.
You really want a bidet?
I'm just curious as to what they feel like.
I have a friend.
I'm genuinely interested. Like,
I have a friend.
we
who
can
has
we can
one,
work it out.
And I remember I told my mom, I was like, oh yeah, like so and so had a bidet, and my mom went, yeah, his mom seems like the kind of person who would.
Oh,
I was like, what does that mean?
shit.
She seems like the kind of person who'd have a clean asshole. My mom's savage sometimes.
I can't wait until that's like a slang for someone like stick up your ass, clean asshole.
Clean asshole.
Yeah.
Oh my.
But I made all the mistakes, like with jet lag. The nice thing about Costa Rica is we were only delayed by like 2 hours pretty much because it's more of a vertical movement. But like when I was in Germany, I was like, I don't need to adjust. No, fuck that. So I would sleep at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon in the car while we were driving from place to place. And then I would be up until like 5 a.m. And I was like, fuck it. Like, this is my life right now.
Yeah.
And I was fine. But I somehow, even though I stayed pretty much on the sleeping schedule that I was on back home, when I came back home, I also got screwed and I could not adjust then. Because I feel like my body was then like, now let's do Germany time.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened, but it was miserable.
What also helps that in Germany, you didn't really go to see anyone in particular.
No, we were just traveling
Yeah.
around.
For me, it was like, I know I have to talk to people who are already accustomed to this schedule.
Mhm.
So I need to like give my body enough time to adjust to it. But after that, it was all right.
And you were there for what, a month?
Yeah.
Oh wow. What'd you do there?
Hung out, went from place to place. We went to Amsterdam. We went to Germany. I don't know if we didn't go into any other countries, but I experienced all the Swiss things like fondue and alpine slides. Europa Park was fun too. Went on my first roller coaster with a loop.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
You had to do that?
I was going to do one on Six Flags when I was a little boy, but I peed my pants, so my mom told me no. But the loop was really fun.
Yeah.
I hate drops and everything like this. This one, it was called Blue Fire, right? So it's an extreme coaster. So it's a launch coaster. It's not like a build up. And then you launch, you go up on a downward side. Then you go into the loop. The loop is great because it feels like you're right side up, even though you're looking down at everything. And then it went to the spirals, which are the fucking worst thing in the world because it just feels like you're going to get thrown out of the seat. And it's like, I don't know why people find this fun, but the loop was cool.
Okay, we should take you to Hershey.
I love
I already
Loop
been to Hershey. Yeah.
Have you gone on the loop once?
Not on the loop ones.
We're going to take you on.
The Super Duper Looper.
No.
That one sucks.
That one's so easy though.
I don't
Is it
like
so
that.
easy?
Yeah. Oh my god.
It is just a loop. Like
It's
you
just
go
one
up,
loop,
you go
yeah.
down loop, and you're done.
I hate
That's the whole
I hate the
thing.
newest one, Sky Rush, because it hurts your fucking thighs.
No,
yeah.
that's the best one.
No,
it hurts your
I
thighs.
really don't like drops. For me, the drops, it feels like I'm going to die.
Okay.
But
Then you would
anything
not
else,
like
Like this double shot. You know what I'm talking about?
See, it helps if you
like
want
the
to
drop
die.
tower.
Then you go on.
Yes,
It's like,
those are
I'm
the
I don't want to die that
happy.
way.
It's so scary.
I don't
They
want
make
to
me
die
have
on
to
a
pee,
roller
though.
coaster like a little baby. I do like turns though, like fast turns. Like the laugh track is so fucking fun.
Oh, I love the laugh.
Yeah.
They had one of those in Europa. It was so cool. It was like French themed. It used to be space themed, which it was, but it was in a giant dome, right? So it was completely black.
Mhm.
And like leading up to it was a very stereotypical like French houses. Like there were ladders put up and there would be beds and like fairy lights strung across the room and like painter's tools and stuff like that. But you go up the whole time you're spiraling up like a mock Eiffel Tower. and then you go down. It's very much like Laugh Track, where it's completely dark, but it
Mm.
lights up, and like it did all the French things. Like you went through the
Surrender.
you surrendered, and then you went through the arc. I forget the name of it, but it's super famous. You went through the arc, and then you had like line girls, like the legs. You
Oh,
went
like the
under the
cake.
legs of the lines girls,
Whoa.
and they would like
Nice.
they were animated to kick up while you're going through it. It was a super cool experience.
That's so cool.
What are we going to talk about now?
Okay, well, let's
You guys
talk
have been
about South Africa.
My favorite place in
So,
the whole world.
Why don't you? What were you there for originally?
So I had an internship. So I study psych and neuroscience, and so I want to be a clinical psychologist, well, neuropsychologist, whatever. Ultimately, but I can't, be a neuropsychologist intern. So clinical psych is where I went. So I went there to basically help out these women at a shelter who have been abused. So it was like a full-time 2 months internship, but I went through this organization and they also had like weekend trips and they had like my accommodations was with like some other interns too. So I got to know a lot of other people just like from how I got there, not only just like why I was there, but the whole thing was pretty cool.
That's really cool. And okay, what was like your favorite memory from there when Trenton's done dying?
Go away.
Oh my God, you good? Oh God.
Way to go. Way to ruin her train of thought.
Come on. I'm here to
Egyptians
talk about
kicking
South
in.
Africa. As soon as I talk, you start dying.
I know. I saw one
Your
time
water
on
is shit,
Instagram,
by the way.
You took a picture with an elephant.
Yes.
I will have
That
you
seems
know.
amazing.
We got 29
Yes.
views. I expect top tier water next time.
Oh my God.
Not this penny water
I'm
shit.
sorry.
Perrier or bus?
What?
Perrier. It's the
Fiji
sparkling.
water.
Fiji.
Okay, well, listen to these elephants.
She took a
alright?
picture with an elephant, guys.
You took a picture with an elephant?
They were hugging me. Their little trunks were hugging me.
Oh, that's awesome. Did you feel like you were gonna die?
No.
I would. I feel like this thing's gonna pick me up and yeet me across South Africa.
No, it's like, okay, it's for that, it's kind of like what happened. So we went on this like garden route. Like, I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but it's this really like popular tourist attraction like through South Africa.
Aw.
And so, yeah, so you go like all across the coast. You can stop at a whole bunch of different places. And it was, for us, it was only like a 4-day long route. So we did like a bunch of like wineries, different like beaches. We did like the highest bungee bridge and a lot of the people jumped off, which I did not because why the fuck would I do that?
Bungee jumping is real dangerous.
Yeah.
Don't
It's
do
freaking
Just
it.
imagine
scary
if it
shit.
snaps.
Yeah,
I was the
that's-
only person to not do it in my group, and I was like, I have no regrets right
yeah,
now.
like seriously.
But then we also did like an African safari, and then we did an elephant brush walk. And so basically, these elephants were like rescued from poachers at one point, so they were brought to this game reserve. And what they do is they'll have like maybe 2 or 3 like groups come in a day, and otherwise the elephants just hang out, do whatever they want. But then they get like their little elephant walks. And so that's when like the groups will come and like walk with the elephants, and then we'll stop at this place and feed them. And when we feed them, we get like pictures with them and like get to hug them and everything
So
like
is
that.
that where that happened?
Mm-hmm. So then you get to feed one elephant at a time. There's 3 elephants there. And then when everyone's done feeding, you can go in for a picture with all 3 elephants. So then they all hug you and they like
That's
tussle
so
you around.
They're
cute.
super docile creatures. You have to watch out for hippos down there. Those things.
Yeah.
They were hippos.
They're
in the
scary
back.
as fuck.
Hippos kill more. Like hippos are not even exaggerating the deadliest animal in the world, particularly just because of Africa. Like you look at them and they go, they're not fast. They're big and dumb and slow, but they're fast.
They'll
as fuck.
fuck you up.
Once
Yeah.
they get moving, they're going,
Yeah.
and they have those massive teeth.
Yeah.
They're pretty cool though. They are really
Have
freaking
you
cool.
seen those?
Oh
They were
yeah.
behind her, she said.
Yeah, there. So like when we were taking these pictures at the game reserve, like where we were in this like area, there were some hippos. I'm not sure if it was in that picture or a different one. I can find it. But they like you would just see the hippos come up over the little hill, and they're just sitting there like watching us getting pictures of these elephants. Just like they were like 3 of them.
Oh my God.
It was like the coolest thing. I'll try to find it.
I'd rather see a pack of wolves come over a hill
Yeah,
than a
no,
pack
yeah.
of hippos.
I could fight a bunch of wolves.
Yeah, you can fight wolves.
I watched a video. My biology teacher in high school thought it was really funny. I can't remember if I thought there was a hippo in it, which is why I started this conversation. But it was a pack of lions attacking like a wildebeest.
Oh, I've seen
Oh,
this. I have
And
seen
then
that, yeah.
all the wildebeest
they all
came
show
back
up.
and
Yep.
fucked up the lions.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh, that's scary
Oh.
as shit.
So they're
I think they're
probably
scarier than
cute
rhinos, to be
girls.
honest.
They're kind of cute.
You know,
Oh, I
guys,
saw rhinos.
You
I
did?
feel like rhinos,
I was on
like,
a
okay, they charge
safari,
at you.
yeah.
You just fucking
Yeah,
dodge
you've
that
probably
way.
seen it all.
Not all, but a lot.
Lions
I
are
saw a bunch
terrifying,
of
too.
cows.
Wow.
Oh. Okay, European cows are very different though.
They're cute.
Yeah,
Like they're
they just hang out.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Costa Rican cows are also really different. Like they so different.
You
They're
gotta realize
skinny, they're happy.
You gotta realize
Actually,
we pump our cows full of shit so they taste better.
they
America, am I right? Woo!
they just
Ugh.
live their lives. Like I don't know if you can see in the background, but like they're so skinny because they like aren't being
wow.
pumped full and they're muscular and they're like so
Set them up
Oh,
with
adorable.
machines
Is that
to
you?
suck the
Yeah,
life
that
out of
is.
them.
Oh my god, that's precious.
That we were doing so we did while we were in the rainforest, we were on this reserve called El Zoda, and you would have to hike. So we did 3 hikes a day, and you would do a morning hike and then an afternoon hike, and then you would do a night hike, which were creepy.
I was like, fuck that. Fucking
Yeah,
night-
well, because
night
they
hike.
also give you a safety presentation before, and they tell you stories about like the bullet ants and stuff. Like, and our guide had gotten bitten 1 year ago in the cabin that I was in the bed that I was in the middle of the night. So I didn't sleep while I was in the rainforest because I was
wouldn't.
terrified. But like, so on the morning hike this one time, it's stupid because like we saw so many cool things. Like we saw all 3 primates there. So howler monkeys, capuchins, and spider monkeys, which were really cool to see. And it was also baby season. So we always saw babies with them. And we got to see a 3-toed and a 2-toed sloth. But in the middle of the road, there's this cow. And this is like one of my favorite stories from there because I just thought it was so stupid that like we're in Costa Rica to see these all like incredible animals, and then there's this cow, and it was like a dog, like it would like hop on its like front legs, and it would like look at us, and then its tail would wag, and so one of the guides like started like clapping at it, and we let it up the road like 2 miles to its owner. It got out of the like fencing. And all the other cows on the fencing were running with it because they were so mad that it got out. They wanted it back. And so then like we got to watch him get it back in. And like when they all got back together, all the cows were just so excited. It was like the cutest thing ever.
Oh.
Yeah, we abuse the fuck out of our cows. Like
Yeah.
it's
And-
really sad going into like a farm
Mhm.
and they're like living in their own shit. It's
Oh.
gross.
It's
Yeah.
what's on. We went up. This is where the $32 cheese comes from. Cheese and meat. But we went up a gondola and then we took a hike up to a mountain lake that was like carved into the side of a mountain. Like it was a crystal blue lake, like even brighter than this blue. But you walk up and one side is just cliff that spans up. And then on one side is the shore, but the shore is just filled with cows because the farmer's like the range free type. So he literally just lets his cows hang out by the lake all they want and they just go sit there. They're the most docile thing ever.
Yeah.
You walk up to them and they don't even look at you. They just sit there and drink lake water all day and lay down.
Yeah.
Oh my god. See, like, I always used to love eating chicken. And then one day I was like, you know what, I'm just going to be vegan. And my decision was really cemented for me when I was in Africa because we went to an ostrich farm. And where I was like, okay, cool, like we get to see ostriches. I thought it was going to be something like the elephants, like they're rescued, everything's good and happy. No, not everything is good and happy. We get there, we sit down, and they give us like this skin that they like took off of an ostrich. We're like, oh yeah, so this is what we use the skin for. This is what we use the feathers for. So now we're gonna go see some ostriches. And I was like, what the heck? So we go out, we see the ostriches, and they're like hanging out, don't know that they're gonna die soon, and we're sitting there staring at them. And then after all of this, we have lunch there. So everyone starts eating ostrich meat. And I'm like, how?
No.
Like,
You didn't eat ostrich meat?
It's
though?
interesting.
No!
It's because that's like their deer. I mean,
yeah.
we look at them as like unique animals, but they have so many of them that it's like deer to them. So like same thing with like horses, like or not, yeah, horse.
Kangaroos. in
Kangaroos, yeah,
Australia.
that's what I meant, yeah. But so
Horses.
I was
Horses.
thinking like Swedish meatballs, and then like how they make them out of horse meat, but I don't think that's a thing.
I don't think they have
That might have
horses
just
like
been a
deer
myth.
though.
But anyway,
Maybe, but I don't think the horses are deer.
But anyway, shit, you made me lose my train of thought.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Crap.
In
But I was gonna get into big game hunting.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
That's a big
God.
problem. I hate like seeing that kind of shit where like they'll kill like rhinos or like.
Listen, man, whenever you're a dentist and you got more than enough money, might as well go.
I'm interested to hear your take on it after being in Africa. But what I do know, because I was worried about it, is that what they usually will do is if like there's not a lot of money to be made in places like that. So what they do to generate revenue is pick the weakest or something, like weakest or like oldest of the group if they're on like a reserve, and they'll kind of like sacrifice them, but the payoff is that they get to help the rest of the group with that money. So like tourism really isn't a huge thing in certain like conservations and stuff, because like why would it be if you're just trying to protect the animals? Like what? So
Yeah.
But you have things like poachers who will go after like
Yeah.
the big ass rhinos just to get it. Ty, I told you, just mute your shit. And they'll go after like the big ass rhino because like for some reason like rhino horns are like super expensive, which I don't understand.
It's because it's a luxury good. Like because they're so rare and so difficult to get, that's why. That's what makes it valuable.
Same thing like shark fin.
Yeah, shark fin. Well, I think rhino horn and shark fin are both used in very traditional medicines too.
They supposedly have like magical properties of some sort.
Which I thought would be gone now in the 20th.
Who needs vaccines when you can use magic?
Yeah, rhino horn.
Did they talk anything about like big game hunting on any of those hikes, or?
Not that I like distinctly remember. I do remember going to like some of the game reserves, and they're like, oh yeah, we like have these animals in different regions so that they aren't attacking each other, and so they are like healthy and like living their best life, I guess.
That's cool.
But like, because everything that we did was very, I mean, besides the stupid ostriches, but everything else was like all in the interest of helping and saving the animals and like doing it very humanitarianly. That's what I was gonna say. Yeah. But yeah, humanely. So I mean, I did not experience a lot of those kinds of things. It makes me really sad.
My thing with big game hunting is that if you're going to do it, don't be a little bitch about it. Like, you're going to go out there, you're going to hoof it on foot. It's going to be yourself and your rifle. And if you get mauled by some lions, hey, man, that's just the price of big game hunting.
Yeah, for sure. It's, I don't know. That's something I always come back from traveling with a new perspective, either on life or just on a particular thing. And so like that's my big reason for like I don't want to stop traveling, especially now we're young and we have time. Actually, his name is Israel, and he's the
whole country.
No, his name is Israel. He's the guide that we were with in Costa Rica. And
the whole country
of Israel.
Whole country. Wow, that's awesome.
But he said, he was like, you know, it's amazing that you guys are traveling now because you have nothing but time when you're young, but no money. And then when you get older, you have nothing but money, but no time. And so like to be able to travel in that interim and try to find ways to do it is like super important for broadening your horizons.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And like I was telling my friend this the other day too, like, yeah, I'm in college. I don't have all this money, but from the money I do have, I can spend it on traveling because I can make it back. And so like I think that goes back to like why I want to go to these countries that like are underdeveloped, because those are the countries that one would give me the most cultural competence from, because I mean if I go to Europe, like you see cool things, I guess, but it's like you were saying earlier, it's very similar to America, and like I don't want to travel to like be in some luxury resort and go lay out by the beach. Like I want to go travel to experience their culture and to see how they're living and live like that too. And so like for me, especially like at this age, like we are like more adventurous and like crazy, and so like I feel like it's the perfect time. Like if you can at all feasibly make that trip happen, then I don't see why you don't.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things, and maybe we should do this over the summer at some point, is even if you can't travel or don't have a lot of money, but you do have a car and like $20 in gas money, just get in there, grab some good friends, get some banging tunes, and just drive in the direction and see where you end up.
Yeah.
I love road trips too, but it gets to a point like where you're like 7 hours in, you're like, okay, I don't like this anymore. Like I drove to Virginia and I was at like hour 5.5 out of 6. I'm like, please, somebody just put me down. Because like,
well, it sucks if you're driving.
Yeah, well, it's like, and it's not only that. It's like when you're driving like on a highway and like when you start at like 3 a.m. and it's like, all right, I'm miserable. It's all been the same shit. I've just seen truck drivers and roads. Like I want to
the back road.
Okay, but I wanted to get there in a timely manner.
That's why you do a travel day where you have no intent on what time you're arriving. You're just getting there by the end of the day. And then when you get there, you just shut down.
Well, it sucks when you drive manual and no one else can drive your car. So I have to be the only one.
Hey, I can drive your car.
Yeah.
Okay, see, but like some people really like that. Like my boyfriend, we drove to Canada and that was 12 cumulative hours maybe, depending on
from here.
Because we went to Vermont and then we went to Canada because we took a long road trip. But I was like, I can drive for you if you need. He's like, nah. I think first of all, he doesn't want me driving.
Yeah, I wouldn't want you
Yeah.
driving, especially on mountain roads.
But second of all, like he enjoys it, and like he could go for 8
Oh,
hours.
Yeah,
and
I
it's
like it too. It's just I run out of steam. Like
That's how you know they have a strong relationship.
Yeah.
They made
But-
it 12 hours sitting in a packed car together.
my
That's
mom,
a good way to test your relationship.
My mom took me to Myrtle Beach to drop me off where my dad was staying. That's like a 10-hour drive. And my dad offered for her to like stay and sleep for a little bit. She just drove right back. I was like,
10
"You
hours?
crazy.
Wow.
But then again, she's a paramedic, so she works 24 hours, 24-hour
Mm.
shifts. So I'm like, okay, I kind of get it, but still that's insane. Like I'd stay a little bit, enjoy the beach, and then go back. But
Oh my
yeah, I like
That's
I said, I like
insane.
driving too, and I'll do it. But like my problem is I just run out of steam after a while.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's why I'm always offering to trade off,
Yeah,
you know. So whenever we do go on this road trip, that will never happen.
yeah.
I will
No,
trade
you're
off with
speaking it
you.
into existence. It's
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
happen.
oh yeah.
It's
Now,
happening right now.
hey, Ty's mom, I know you're listening. Bully Ty about it until
She
he-
will.
Well,
Okay,
it's
she will give that camper no problem. You know it.
Okay, but
Do you have a camper?
are any of us
Yeah.
certified to drive that? Because it's a
There's no-
little bit more complicated
No,
to
you
drive
can.
it.
You just have to know how to.
You pull knobs, you're pulling
All right, you
levers
have
while
time
you're
to
going.
practice. So
Yeah,
you
like-
I can ask
spend.
my dad
Until
pulled a
then.
giant ass camper, so and we also need something that can handle pulling it.
Yeah.
Let's just buy like a $1,000 car off eBay, like a lemon, and just throw
drive
a
it till it
mattress in the
dies.
back and
Beat
see
the
what
fuck out of it.
Yeah, see what happens. There's actually races in America, and I want to do one called lemon races, where you buy the cheapest car you can find, and then you go race them against other
That's
cheap
amazing.
cars.
That's
Oh
awesome.
my.
That sounds like a rich people sport.
Yeah, actually.
It sounds like a me sport. I
It
buy
does
cheap
sound like
cars
a
all the
youth
time.
sport. It
Yeah,
does sound like
so
a
do
youth
I.
sport. I had a math teacher. This will be my last story. I had a math teacher,
Right. We can go
In
for like
high
another
school.
20 minutes.
and he told us this story, and I was like, "You need to write this down or make it a movie." But like, because it sounds like the most like 1980s, 1970s thing you could possibly do. But like, he was a young college student, like almost about to graduate or like fresh out of college, and this like creepy Italian dude offered him like $500 if he could take a car and drive it from New York to California. So he hopped in with a bunch of his friends, and then they drove from New York to California. They would sleep in the car, and like literally, it was like the most classic like road trip movie story ever. Like they like did all the stuff. Like, and at one point he was like, there was a locust storm when they were in like the Midwest, and like they were just in the car, and like locusts were like hitting every side of the car.
That's awesome.
And then like they get to California and they just drop the car off, and they're like, all right, thanks, bye. And that was it. But he was like, yeah, it was definitely like a mobster or something. Like it was something not good. But I just thought
I'd
it was
do it.
such a cool, yeah. Like if it was the 1970s and I didn't have the internet to like Google that and consider, what is this actually happening?
Yeah.
Then I would totally do it. But yeah,
So at least take a road trip.
go on a road trip.
Yeah, you have to.
Do a weekend trip. Go.
We used to do that to
Yeah.
the beach all the time.
It's amazing.
Yeah, especially when you're young and dumb, and like that's the worst part about growing up, right?
Yeah.
Is that you start to care about things more.
Oh yeah.
So, especially if you can travel now, because you're never going to be this like young, this anxious,
Mhm.
and this like willing to experience other things.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think that wraps it up.
All right, that's fine.
Thank you for listening. Deanna, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for
Thank you,
having
Ty's
me.
mom.
Thanks,
Thanks, Ty's mom.
Everything besides mom.
Because Ty's mom is our listener.
like our only listener.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm kidding. Actually, Evan's family. Okay.
And Evan's mom. Hi, Evan's mom.
Hi, Evan's
My mom
mom.
doesn't listen.
Oh.
She finally
Evan's
just
family.
followed the Instagram page for it.
Speaking of, make sure to follow us at Get Stoked Podcast on Instagram. Yeah, let us know.
What's our MySpace?
We're on
Your
YouTube
thoughts?
now too.
We are on YouTube now. Is it also just Get Stoked Podcast?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let us know what you think about this. Let us know what we could be doing better. And I would be interested to hear, like, when we post like the like now available page for this episode, I'd be interested to hear like where you guys have been or where you want to go. So maybe comment that.
Yeah, I wish. Yeah.
Yeah, no one will.
We
but
both
hey.
of us took polls for topic ideas on our personal Instagrams, and I got 160 some views and only 2 responses. And one of them was Ty from the Get Stoked podcast complaining about the same problem.
Oh my God.
So thank you so much for listening to another episode of Get
Get
Stoked.
Get Stoked.